That is true.
Really?
All right. Oh, it's my second. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Hit it.
So Grant and I have been working on a simple security suite. And today we're going to go over the basics of Basic Secure. So we're going to be talking about the technical aspects of it, and we'll also talk about a demo.
We shall. So part of the thing we wanted to address up front is why we decided to build Basic Secure. Basic Secure is a simple security suite that allows people to configure their computers in an easy, no-click fashion, or I guess there's one click, and that's hit secure. So it's a simple interface. We want to make sure that it automatically implements basic security settings so that people don't have to be very tech savvy to use our program. One thing that we also want to make sure is that our program was all inclusive. So a lot of people, they're like, well, do I need an antivirus? Do I need a firewall? Do I need, they're not sure what exactly they need for their computer security. So in our program, we include an antivirus. We activate the firewall that comes standard with Windows. And then we clean up the file system using a couple of different programs, including some Windows settings. One of the main things we want to make sure is that people understand the aims of Basic Secure. Basic Secure isn't aiming at pretty much the people in this room. We're not looking to help people secure the computer who already know how to secure the computer or who do that kind of by nature. Where our program is aimed at people who maybe don't have a security background or people who don't even have a computer background, people who don't really understand computers in general, or they have a hard time understanding how to make their stuff secure. They're the kind of people who call you up on the weekend and are like, hey, my computer's slow, or hey, once again, I know I called you last week, but something keeps freezing, or I think I have a virus. This is the people that this computer or that this program is aimed at, is the people who are not necessarily technologically savvy, who just need a little push in the right direction for security.
All right. So for this program, Grant and I love C# because it's simple and it's very available. And so we build the MSI and it's all done in C#. We have some PowerShell scripts also that have helped us, some simple command lines to activate different functionalities in Windows. We also were helped in learning about the user 32 DLL, which was a way that we were able to take control of the user's mouse and actually click through a lot of the different setups, specifically like Microsoft Security Essentials. It's designed for the Windows 7 Home Edition, and that's what we're targeting, but it will not silently install on the Home Edition. And so what we have to do is we take control of the user's mouse and we do a simple click through. They're able to watch it, and it goes back to installing the other software.
So the last thing Brock was going to mention there was our website. We did do a little bit of CSS and some basic web, use some basic web technologies. One thing that we originally anticipated building this website from scratch and doing it completely on our own. However, the scope of our project turned out to be a little bit more taxing than we originally anticipated. Spent a lot more hours testing our program to make sure that, when we release it, it's actually available for download right now on our website, that when we release it to the public, we didn't want them to have something that was half-baked. So instead of spending a lot of extra time doing web development and putting a lot of extra effort into that, we did build it off a base Weebly website, but I think that it definitely has a touch of our own CSS and web experience in there. So this is actually available on mobile and on desktops, and no, not Financial Plan. If you just go to basicsecure.com, that will redirect to our Weebly page. It's pretty simple, pretty slick. The download now button on the very beginning will send you to our downloads page. Right now, it's available for Windows Home and Professional, Home Premium and Professional. We have a little link here to our zip file. Has a couple of different hash files that people can compare to make sure that they're actually getting what we advertise. Right now, currently, our download doesn't actually work in Chrome. Well, it will work if you have certain settings, but notices that it's an MSI file and says that that could be something potentially dangerous. But if you change your settings to allow it, then you can download it from there, or it does work in Internet Explorer and Firefox, which is why we're installing Chrome on people's computers as part of our setup files. But yeah, so that's where our download's currently hosted. I've been building a YouTube video. It's not currently up yet. I'm still editing it, but that goes through basically how our program works and what it includes in the install. And then we have some some frequently asked questions, and then a contact form that redirects to one of our Gmail accounts for any improvements that people want to be added to the program in the future. So that's our basic website. We also have a Facebook page right now. If you go to facebook.com/basicsecure, I won't do it for time reasons, but it's pretty much something to help us redirect to our website and to allow users to give us some more feedback. So yeah, that's the website for Basic Secure. I was going to say, after all that we've been talking about, we're going to show you Basic Secure, the program we've been building for the last 5 months.
All right.
Yeah, I liked how you had hash files on the web. That people are that use this program will actually look at
we're hoping that there's actually some savvy users who use this on people's computers, because it's very
we would install it on people we love.
Yeah,
absolutely,
and you'd run
on their computers.
Yeah.
And we felt like, as IT security emphasis people, we had a duty and a right to do such things.
That's right.
Even if our target audience doesn't know what that means.
All right. So we have this MSI file up here, and we've already installed it and brought up the installer. And so this is our Basic Secure freeware that we've developed. And here's the user license agreement.
What license are you using?
It's just a GNU license. GNU 2, I think.
GPL2?
Yeah.
All right, and so most users, we felt like, could use a full install, and that's the way we designed all the different features, is like, what could everybody really use on their computer? If you have someone tech savvy setting this up for you, we did allow for a custom installation, and so you can go through and pick a lot of the things. Some things will run by default, but like some people may already have Chrome. And even if they do the express install, it'll still check to see if they already have Chrome and not install that and different things. So. And
I did fix, if you see the Microsoft Security Essentials, I shortened that down to MSC and my branch of it. I guess Brock hasn't pulled that branch yet. But yeah, so that also allows a little bit of visibility into our program, so people can see, what am I getting myself into before I actually install this?
What is this doing to my computer? All right, we're going to run. So this is lock it down. And so right now it's going to start off, and it'll actually start off with a program called CCleaner. CCleaner runs things like cleaning your registry. It'll also clean up like temporary files off your computer. It has a lot of express things already built into it that we didn't need to duplicate because it's free to home users. And so we just included it as part of our project so that people could run these simple cleanups on their computer.
To optimize their computer, is performance?
It's performance, and also just space saver as well. Like you said, it cleans up your registry. It cleans up temporary files. I mean, especially if it's a user who has kind of a smaller hard drive, a lot of times these people, they don't notice or they don't care. And so they notice like, oh, well, I've downloaded all these Windows updates and they're taking up 5 gigabytes of space when their hard drive only has, limited amount of space on there. So it really does optimize kind of the whole ecosystem in that sphere. And then when we install Microsoft Security Essentials and a couple of the other programs and features that we tweak in Windows, it modifies other areas. So like I said, we're trying to keep it comprehensive on the basic level. But yeah, it also is able to clean up the files. So if you notice, there's a folder there called Files. That's one of the settings that we feel like a lot of our target market will need. Basically, it takes everything on the desktop and sorts it into files based off of their extension. So that we did something, we built a PowerShell script that sorted them all into that. And we feel like, especially the desktops we've seen, we should have included a screenshot or something. It's like littered with icons, and they have no idea where their stuff is.
A lot of people that you help, just their whole desktop's just covered.
Yeah,
because that's where they store everything.
Absolutely. And so it increases a little bit of performance just by that one small act.
And if you saw what just popped up, this was Microsoft Security Essentials, and we did a simple click through of the basic install. It'll have a few pop-ups now because it's going to update and run a scan in the background as we close these. It also updates if you are still going to use the Internet Explorer browser. It's going to show you in just a second that now that's been updated as well for the Windows 7. And
yeah, basically for this section of it, one thing that we're still trying to kind of foolproof is the fact that a lot of what Brock was just showing is click through. And so if the user's continuing to do something in the background, like if they're surfing the web or something, then all of a sudden they're going to notice their mouse is like drifting towards a specific spot on the screen, or it's kind of wigging out a little bit. And so obviously, as part of our installation instructions, we've mentioned on our website, like, this is a standalone installer, just let it do its thing. As soon as you click lock it down, anything you do in the background may affect the effectiveness of the installation. Specifically with this next part that we're going to do. So in addition to installing Google Chrome, which we feel like is the most secure browser at this time, available to Windows for basic users, I say, we've included a bunch of extensions as well that add to that secure browsing experience.
yeah, we included AdBlock Plus, so it'll take a lot of the ads away. And so these inexperienced users, they may not understand that when they start clicking on these ads on the sides, those are the types of websites that are going to download junk to their computer. We also installed Ghostery because it's a privacy app to help them. And we also install HTTPS everywhere. And so that helps to increase the encryption traffic going through their browser, so that as they surf the web, that their browser
it forces HTTPS.
It forces HTTPS
Absolutely.
in the browser.
Mm-hmm. And so as you can tell, it's kind of going through, like Brock was saying, the mouse hook program that Dr. Maservi is showing us is really handy for finding and automatically enabling these different extensions, so that the user doesn't have to go in there, because they might not understand that, if there's an extension installed, I have to actually enable it. They might think it's automatically done. And so that's partially why we've done this click through, is to make sure that, yes, included with us installing these extensions is actually activating them so that they're available for you.
What if the user's moving the mouse?
It actually take it back and click.
So it will prevent it.
Unless they are clicking at the exact same second, then it will still work.
So even if they're moving the mouse, it'll just take it back.
If they're in a different window, sometimes that can mess it up a little bit. So like when we were initially testing it, a lot of time based off of the different resolutions, like I'd be in something else or testing something else in the same screen, it would move to my program and like close out of the window I was working on. And I was like, dang it, I was still doing that.
So it's if you have a Windows on top of it.
Yeah.
So if you opened up something over top of Chrome right now, then it would affect the install. But if you're still on
You can
the same,
actually force the window to be the topmost in
Yeah.
the program,
Mm-hmm.
and so that it's always on top. Now, whether you want to do that or not.
Well, that's actually what we've done for part of the program. If you notice that while it was installing the Chrome and CCleaner, et cetera, those windows are popping up behind our screen. So I didn't really think about that with regards to Chrome, but that's something that we could build in.
Tell me a little bit more about resolution and the challenges with that. Are you right now scaled for a very specific resolution, I assume?
So
with your
what
Yeah.
we did is you can choose resolutions, because when you start controlling the mouse, it has to click in specific spots to check for what color is underneath the mouse at that spot.
Yeah.
Is what we're doing.
So we've optimized it for 2 or 3 different resolutions right now. A couple of them being the most common, especially for the kind of target we're looking at. So like 1024 by 768, 800 by 600, 1920 by 1080 or something like that. But yeah, we've optimized them for the resolutions that we feel like are the most most used right now, and then as time goes on, we can definitely look at doing the click-through on different
One of the
resolutions.
things you can do is just at the beginning, it's pretty easy to change the resolution of the whole
Yeah.
desktop.
Mhm.
And so force them into one of those
Okay.
three, and then kick them back out to the resolution at the end of the program.
Absolutely.
We were
That would be
debating
nice.
if it would be easier just to grab the resolution, because that's what we're doing now, and just setting it for the most popular resolutions or not.
But it would be easy to do it just for
To force
one
them.
standard and then kick it back out. That way we don't have to optimize it for like 20 different resolutions. But yeah, after the whole thing goes through, you have the option to run scans. So that will basically run an automatic quick run of CCleaner, and Microsoft Security Essentials has actually been running this whole time in the background after we installed it. It gives you the option to restart if you want to, or to just close out of the program. And since it does have a standalone installer, you can actually run Basic Secure whenever you want to after you've initially installed it. So lessons learned. Brock and I, before this, I hadn't done it. I've obviously done the basic programming that we do in the core, but coding has never been one of my real big joys. But I did really enjoy using C#. This is actually my first experience with it. And I feel like it was pretty easy to use, and especially doing it in Visual Studio. But as it says on there, different versions of Windows actually are very different. So many of those different things that you just saw in that Windows Home Premium edition took us hours longer to configure than on Windows Pro. So Brock was using Windows Pro for the most of the time while I was using Windows Home Premium. And he would be like, oh, well, I ran
works.
this one simple line of code that I found on the web, and it worked perfectly. And for me, I'd have to find many different background ways to do it, or we'd work together to put together something that works on Windows Home. And so that's one thing that we found that, initially you look at it and you're like, well, maybe they give you like a couple different features or like drive encryption or something for Pro, but really there are a lot of behind the scenes settings that are very
Especially with,
different
like,
in Windows.
Group policy
Yeah.
with different silent installs.
Absolutely. Another thing is testing is really time consuming. I'd say that between programming and testing, that was the majority of the time that we put in this program, was using code and then seeing if it worked, and then rolling back our VMs and being like, okay, well, that
Why didn't it work?
one time I was just testing the window or the folder PowerShell script on my desktop, and I had the recurse bit set, and I put all of my folders that were on my desktop into one folder and rearranged them by file accidentally, which sucked. And
Didn't it do your whole computer? All of them?
no, it's just
Okay,
the
just your
5 folders
desktop.
that were on my desktop. So that was one lesson learned, but there's definitely a lot of testing that I at least didn't necessarily realize we'd be taking. So that was 30, 40, 50 hours of testing that we put into it to make sure that we can give users the best possible experience. And then last thing, and this is something that wasn't necessarily a lesson learned for us 100%, but overriding settings in Windows can be done really easily and very silently, especially if you have a professional version of Windows. So a lot of the things that we did, it required administrative rights, and we forced it to give us administrative rights in order to do these settings. And it wasn't that tough. A couple of lines of code allowed us to get into your computer, manhandle it however we want to, and move on. And one of the things that we were saying pretty much the whole time, we were like, man, it would be so much easier for us to build a virus and send it out to people than to actually build something that helps their computers. And so that's one thing that, obviously put us a little bit more wary on that side, and helped us to think about our users a little bit more when building the security suite.
Definitely.
And now the floor is yours.
So I'm curious about licensing of these different programs. Did you investigate kind of the ability to legally redistribute them, and
Absolutely.
what is that? And do they allow packaging with other apps and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I reached out to the different applications that we put in there and received 2 or 3 actual responses directly to me, and a couple I found in forums and posts that the different companies had put up. And the overwhelming majority said for home use redistribution, you can redistribute it however you like. Home, many of them even say for small business, you can distribute it, like 10 or 15 people in a company or something like that, very small business. But yeah, so redistributing all the programs that we have in here is perfectly legal as long as it's for home or small business use.
So what if businesses try to use it? Does your service suddenly become illegal?
Not well. It becomes illegal for them. Us in our EULA, we state that any misuse of our product is not reflected on us. So, I mean, whether or not the other companies come after us, you know, it is just a freeware program that we built to help people.
So tell me about your strategy going forward. You have what looks to be a complex set of environments you're trying to install on many specific versions of software you're installing on those environments, and then having to control this, you know, the mouse clicks in specific spots. What do you do to, any thoughts about modularization or kind of the maintainability of it, you know, kind of the expansion of product? Where's this going?
We really built it for our personal use to install on the people around us on their computers.
Yeah.
You know, and then we offered it up free to people that would also like to. There are definitely things we can do to make it a lot more robust in making sure that everything is installed. The mouse clicks aren't the best solution.
And a lot of these settings also are included by default in newer operating systems. So in Windows 8 and 8.1, for example, it by
Already
default
has
includes
Microsoft
Windows
Security.
Defender, which doubles as Microsoft Security Essentials, and they come standard with firewalls and other things like that. And one thing that our program does is it makes sure that if those things are disabled, they're re-enabled. So if people have set them turned off, we turn them back on. And I feel like those kind of settings would be pretty simple to move to Windows 8 or 8.1, or move on into the future. We've kind of abandoned Windows XP with the rest of the world, although the target that we're looking at may still be hanging on to it. But we feel like we've covered some of the biggest demographics, especially going forward. And we feel like it wouldn't be too hard to modify for Windows 8 if time allows.
I think there's some real potential here. At first, I was a little bit wary, like, why, or is the market really there? I'm totally convinced the market's there. Totally convinced that, the ease of installing, not having to think, just, oh, these guys are knowledgeable, they'll do it for me. I think that's awesome. I think there's opportunities to take individual programs and somehow create a layer between that and then your install program to then automatically, incorporate those. Or in other words, have other people, that are interested in installing these as their own package say, well, let me set up the interface between the two, a config file that then, walks them through doing exactly what you've done. And so then you get these different combinations, and, the I guess need from the community really drives, the app. Doing all the work behind it yourselves, man, that takes a long time, especially with the
About 280 hours.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What versions of Windows do you support?
Right now, Home Premium and Pro. I'm sure it would also work on Home Basic, because Home Premium and Basic have a lot of the same features. It's just the media. It's just the media features that are not included on Windows Basic versus Home Premium. And so basically Windows 7 Basic, Premium, and Pro are all supported at this time. And then, like I said, I don't think it would be that difficult to modify for 8 and 8.1. Windows 10, I mean,
it's coming.
That might include all the stuff that we already do.
As you go to 8, you'll see you're probably using that Win32 DLL for getting the pixel color. No longer works in Windows 8. Don't know why, but it doesn't seem to work. So I want to know, how does this benefit you and your careers? Is this, have you gotten any conversation out of your capstone project? Is it launching you toward, something, a stepping stone, or is it just your capstone project?
Well, you guys in the Blender Bottle a lot.
I do a lot of IT security at Blender Bottle, specifically with PCI compliance. And for me, before we even started our capstone project, I already had a job, and so I wasn't bringing it up in interviews and stuff. But I think a lot of the things that I've learned for this have helped me to look at different ways to automatically configure my work network. Although part of that is obviously built into Active Directory and it makes it a lot more simple. But I think as a conversation piece, it really has helped me to kind of show people kind of what I do. Because as an IT security emphasis, people are like, oh, like, are you like hacking people, or, you know, what do you do?
Yeah.
And so this kind of shows them, like, in addition to, you know, I do basic programming, as you know, I help to build this program. Also, I do some web design and development, and, you know, infrastructure. I help to design, you know, the different things behind all these programs. Project management, we had to go through in iterations and build this program. So it has helped to just show people what it is that I do in ISIS or IS.
Good save.
Yeah, I forgot my turban today. Is this still recording? Sorry, I'm gonna get...
Yeah.
What inspired the name Basic Secure in your logo of a treasure chest?
It's actually a old game, isn't it? That you
No.
Right?
So Basic Secure was an evolution. We started as Lock It Down.
Yeah, that's true.
Lock It Down was actually in use by a variety of different companies when I was trying to host our website. I was like, crap, you know? And so then I moved towards All Your Base Are Secure, which is a play on words of All Your Base Are Belong to Us, which is an old video game reference. And after some time, we realized that nobody would understand that who's going to use our program. Like that's aimed at hackers. That's aimed at people who play video games. And so when I was just looking up different domains, I was like, well, what does our program do? It secures computers for basic functions. And so I just went with something simple, and Basic Secure covers the basis of what our program aims to do and what it actually does. Nothing too crazy.
So your MSI installation file doesn't actually include the executables, right?
It does.
It does. Do you have a mechanism to
Shrink it.
to incorporate the latest versions, so as they become
To
updated,
update it.
to incorporate that into the MSI and maybe recompile a new MSI file?
Part of it is it calls for updates for many of our programs. So it'll be like, okay, we installed it, now update yourself. So that's what we do with Microsoft Security Essentials and Windows Updates and firewalls and different things like that. But currently with our package installers like CCleaner, we don't have a way to install that by calling
so really
from the
just
web at this time.
CCleaner and Chrome are the
Yeah.
two that don't.
Yeah. So
Those two. We need
work in
to.
progress.
We could have downloaded them, but we just felt like including them with the package was
Yeah,
better
because
at
we
this
could
time,
call
at
it from the
least.
web, but we did want to make it as simple as possible and
No, I like what you've done. I was wondering if there's a way to update
Yeah.
the install.
to update it after it's already installed.
To automatically install your installer. So when they pull it down from your website, that it is the latest up-to-date versions of all of the software.
Oh.
If on the server, it would preemptively find the
And add it to our installer. Ooh,
Because it
that
has
sounds
to,
like a really good and
Extra
smart thing to
project.
do.
Yeah.
it has to recompile and everything. So
I was gonna say, if anybody wants to continue this, move it to Linux, move it to Windows 8, 8.1. It's completely open source. Anybody can build onto it. We feel like we just laid a groundwork for something that people can use. Yeah,
All right, very good.
that's it.
Gentlemen.